Uh,
Good evening,
You there?
everyone. Welcome to Ask Grit, episode number 39. Here we have Dulip from Melbourne. How are you, Dulip? Looks like you're in sunny Thailand.
Hello, Naveen. Unfortunately, this is just a virtual background only, but I was in the sunny zone long ago, so that was pretty good.
Awesome. All right, so as usual, every Thursday, 5 o'clock, we are coming to you live with some of the questions which be asked by our investors and the clients and wannabe investors, so that we want to answer them so that it can add value to you when you're listening in. The whole purpose of this session is to give you some knowledge, give you some wisdom about property investment so that you can apply it in your own property investment journey. All right, Dilip, what have you got today?
Naveen, once again, we have quite a few questions that come in from our friends out there.
Yeah.
I have quite a few questions for you actually today. So the first one is just a general outlook. What is the outlook for the property market for 2022? Is question number one.
Yeah, that's the most popular question these days. I mean, as we all know, 2021, we had about 22% growth in the 2021 year itself. And we cannot expect the same in 2022. But so far, we haven't seen any reduction in the steam we had in 2021. It's still, the market is quite crazy. I think overall, we are looking at least 7 to 10% growth even in 2022. Towards the latter part of 2022, the market should slow down. And the markets to watch out in 2022, 2023 are Adelaide, Brisbane, and Perth for a variety of reasons. But overall, it's not going to be 20 plus growth, but it will still be 6 to 10%, I would say.
Which is still pretty good, isn't it?
Of course.
Our next question, I mean, is good one. I think a lot of people will be interested in knowing the answer for this. Is what would be the best performing cities in 2022 and 2033?
Yeah, as I said before, the best performing will be the things to watch out would be Adelaide, Brisbane, and Perth. In Brisbane, the 2032 Olympics is driving a lot of interest from foreign buyers as well as interstate buyers, and huge billions of dollars to be spent in the next 10 years in Brisbane. Brisbane is going to be unstoppable. So it is definitely a place to watch out for. At the same time, Adelaide as well as Perth, both cities will have a lot of mining boom as well as a lot of construction jobs. And there will be a lot of developing areas over there. A lot of mining. And there will be a lot of developing areas over there. A lot of mining. And there seems to be echo coming in.
Yes, I think it's fixed now. Okay. Now, the next question we have is, what are some of the things I can do to pay off my home loan faster? This is a very popular question, as a lot of our listeners are quite interested in knowing.
Yeah, that's right. So your prime objective should be, if you have a mortgage, your own home mortgage, you should reduce that as soon as possible, because that is something you pay, not someone else is paying. So it's your hard-earned money. So as long as you get that down as soon as you can, you will have a better life. A few strategies that you can use. Number one, if you're using monthly payments, make it fortnightly payments. That will save about 5 to 6 years of your mortgage, if it's a 30-year mortgage. Number two is you should also have an offset account and keep all your savings in the offset account so that it will offset against your mortgage. And over time, that will have a huge benefit. It'll cut down years and years out of your 30-year mortgage. So if you just do those two strategies, it will save at least 15 years out of your mortgage. And another thing which you can do is, if you have investment properties and if it's cash flow positive, the positive cash flow, you can again that towards your mortgage or to your offset account. That'll, even if you put $300, $400, $500, that'll save a lot of time from a long-term mortgage. So the ripple effects are enormous. Don't underestimate putting additional money into your home loan. If you just do these three, guaranteed you can pay it off between 10 to 15 years.
Another very good question, especially for those who are intending on buying one or two or more investment properties. Would like to clarify how land tax would work in Victoria, and how could I reduce land tax?
Yeah, it's a good question. Land tax is a state-based tax, and each state is different on how they charge it. Victoria, when your portfolio land value is over $250,000, you have to pay land tax. And you don't pay land tax for your own occupier or principal place of residence, the place you live in. But for investment properties, you need to pay land tax when the land values of your portfolio hits over $250,000. To reduce land tax is not to invest your entire portfolio in one state. So if you're in Melbourne, if you want to have 5-6 properties, having all properties in Victoria will end up you paying heavy land tax. Whereas because it's a state-based tax, you can diversify your investments into other states, and that's the best way to maintain your portfolio. That way, you'll be paying probably zero land tax if you structure it properly.
Thank you very much. The next question we have is another similar question in regards to, once again, from a lot of investors out there. How can I minimize capital gains tax?
Best way to minimize capital gains tax is never sell. But unfortunately, you can't do that always. As a general rule, again, principal place of residence, you don't pay capital gains tax when you sell it. And to minimize capital gains, the best thing to do is hold on for it as long as you can. If you try to do buy and sell, say you buy something and sell it before 12 months, you have to pay 100% capital gains for the gains. Whereas if you months, you have to pay only 50% of the capital gains. So the longer you keep, it's better. If you don't want to pay any capital gains tax, never sell.
Never sell is the solution. What would be the best way to get into property development, and how much should I have? That's our next question.
Yeah, it really depends. It's quite a generic question. It really depends what sort of capacity they want to get into. But as a general rule, let's say as a starter, you want to develop 2 properties and sell it. In that case, it really depends on the location. If it's if it's Victoria, if it's a place like Glen Waverley, Mount Waverley, for a site, you'll be minimum paying 1.3 to 1.5. So overall project, you're looking at about 2.5 million, out of which you need to have about 40% plus other costs to put into the project. Whereas if you do something in it's like Ballarat, then it's going to be quite cheaper than that. The site might be 500 to 600,000, and then the overall cost can be, depending on the number of units you're doing, can be about between 1.5 to 2 million. So again, you need to have about 40% plus cost for that. If it's 2 units, banks are a bit lenient in terms of lending. They should lend you 70 to 80%, whereas when you go beyond that, it will be 60 to 70%. So typically, based on the level of capital you want to go into, you should plan to have at least 30% plus the stamp duty and other costs towards the project. The other way you can get involved in a property development project is you can partner up with a property developer, you can invest money on it. Let's say you want to put $100,000 and then expect a return from the developer. So that's another way, that's a passive way of doing it. But if you want to do it actively, you need to have at least about 30% of the project value.
Thank you for that. Have you seen a growth in rentals with student migration now commencing in Australia?
The rental market is crazy, is what I'm hearing. Especially in the city close to the universities, people are flocking in to get rental properties. We have seen queues for inspections. And the main reason is students are coming back. I think they're starting the semester in middle of Feb or March. So people are sending in kids from overseas, and so the rental market is going to be very, very hot in the next 6 months to come. And I think it will normalize to what it was before COVID.
Thanks for that. And the next question is, what are the factors I should consider to make sure I have a cash flow positive property?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, I mean, especially when you're looking for cash flow positive properties, it's not about location is very important. At the same time, you need to consider a lot of factors. One is, I mean, typically we go through about 30 to 40 factors with our investors to make sure they get the right property to achieve cash flow positive. One factor is the proportion of renters or a percentage of people who are renting in that particular suburb. So say, for example, we are looking at a suburb like Clyde North, for example, and then we have tools to calculate how many proportion of renters are out there. And then we need to check, another factor is vacancy rate. If you take 100 properties, how many are vacant at a given point of time? So we are using statistical data to make sure it has the right percentage when someone invests in it. At the same time, we also should be looking at another factor is out of the renters, how many people are paying over 30% of their income as rent? What that tells you is it is becoming unaffordable for that particular community or people in that suburb. At the same time, you need to be checking the other way around. How many people who are paying mortgages are paying less than 30% of the mortgage of their annual income. So again, that will tell you the affordability of the future buyers. So that will give you indication about the resaleability. So there's a number of factors which you look at. We'll go through from the suburb level to city level to the country level, and then we go into the details of the property. So there's a number of factors, but those are few which I touched upon. But that's very important to check the statistics of a particular suburb before you put your money down.
Awesome. Thank you, Naveen. What are the advantages? Someone's asking, what are the advantages that I have in getting a brand new property in comparison to an older property?
Yeah, the advantages are, there's quite a lot of advantages. Brand new properties will give you a lot of tax benefits. You can claim a lot of, if someone is paying a lot of tax and one of the objectives is to claim some tax back, brand new property is a must because you are going to get a lot of depreciation. Through that, you can get some tax benefit. At the same time, if it's a brand new property, you will have less headaches, less problems, less maintenance issues. Your out-of-pocket expenses will be less, at least for the first 5 years. That's another advantage. At the same time, as a brand new property, it will be attractive to the tenants. We are all humans, and when it's a brand new property, it is quite attractive. It's new, no one has lived in it, and rentability is going to be easy in a brand new property. And you can also fetch a higher rent because it's brand new. So those are some of the benefits. At the same time, when you go to sell it, say you want to sell it in 10 years. If you buy something today, in 10 years time, you can tell the new buyer that it's only 10 years old rather than saying 20 or 30 years old. There's a variety of benefits. I think tax benefits are the number one.
Fantastic. Talking about tax benefits, I mean, the last question is again that we have is, I'm paying too much taxes and need some strategies to minimize them. So again, you could relate it to what you just said.
Right. Yeah, that's a very common problem for a lot of high income earners. Yeah, I mean, if you're a PYG or if you're working for an employer, there's not many options out there for you to claim tax back unless you have investment properties. So you need to really get into the property investment journey and buy some investment properties. That way you can get a lot of tax benefits. You can get some tax back where you can put that money into your home loan and pay that out, or you can buy something else or like another investment property. So to claim tax back, the best way to do it is buy investment properties. That's the only way to claim some tax back, because there's nothing much you can do. You can claim your travel and this and that, but nothing's going to comparable to an investment property. I mean, if you're on over $180,000, you are looking at over 45% tax. So even one property is not going to be enough for you. You need to be looking at least 3 to 5 properties to get a considerable amount back. So get onto it right away if you're losing money on taxes. And rich. All right.
That's all the questions we have for today, Naveen.
Right. Let me see on Facebook, see if we have anything else. Yeah, there's one more. There was a talk about building an airport in Warragul area. Is that still happening? That is correct. There were some plans for an airport towards that area, but I don't think it is happening. When we checked last time, apparently it's been they were depending on a Chinese investor, which has not materialized. So that is out of the cards. So I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. Okay. But having said that, Warragul is a very good area for investment because it's in the hospital precinct. As long as there's hospitals, you have renters out there. It's not a bad place to invest at all.
And it's a hot market too out there at the moment, as far as we know.
All right.
Naveen, just want to remind our people who are watching this post or might see this a bit later after the live feed that they're very welcome to comment, ask any questions that they have, ask comments, and no doubt we'll respond to them either via this thread or later on in the next presentation.
Of course, of course. Feel free to ask any questions and we will be answering your questions.
Well, thank you for everyone who tuned in, and thank you, Naveen, for all your valuable expertise there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Catch you next week.
Bye.